Happy New Year and welcome to first episode of 2023 of the Mortgage Broker Broadcast, first episode of season 3 of the Mortgage Broker Broadcast. And I just wanted to pick up, with it being the first one of the year, and we've all had our Christmas celebrations, we've all celebrated New Year. I just wanted to pick up on the podcast, the topic of New Year resolutions, because New Year resolutions is not something that I'm a fan of, to be honest with you. Yes, I'm very much a fan of setting goals and setting out targets, what you want to achieve. I get that, and that's something that I've talked about on numerous podcasts before. I get that, but starting out as a New Year resolution, starting out with a new me, a new hopes, new dreams for the new year, setting those really high expectations is something that I just don't agree with. It's sort of, can you remember what your 2022 New Year resolutions were? I would ask that question. Or did you give up by the end of January, like 80% of the rest of the population did on their New Year's resolution? So that's why I'm not a fan of it, because it just doesn't. The new year, new you, is that really what you want? Is it really a new you, or is it a better version of you that you want? Do you need to work on yourself more? And that's not something that ever picks up on or very rarely picks up on as a New Year's resolutions, because it's not like New Year's resolutions tend to be big goals, big expectations, like high drama. And is it a case that you want those, or is it you just need better habits in 2023? So that's really why I wanted to pick up on the podcast. It's not so much about New Year, new resolutions. It's more about New Year and new habits, better habits for 2023. So that's what I wanted to talk about in the podcast. So let's just get into the podcast. You're listening to the Mortgage Broker Broadcast with me, Craig Skelton, the podcast which helps mortgage brokers at all stages of their mortgage broking career. So what is it about New Year resolutions? Why do we start the year with big goals and high expectations, only to fall short of our expectations or just forget about them by the end of January, which tends to be most case for most people? So we look at big wins, we look at putting pressure on ourselves in order to feel like we've achieved something, or in order to like boost ourselves, thinking, I've got big goals for the year, big this, big that. But so if that you are like that and you have set those expectations, you're not alone, because like most of the people do. But for me, it's not setting out as big goals for the new year and high expectations. It's more about focusing on the habits and small changes every single day. They don't need to be huge. It's just small changes every single day will make a huge difference to you. And habits define who you are. Habits will define your success. Habits will define who you are as a person. So don't ever underestimate the value of making small changes on a daily basis. So getting into good habits every day, you will see the positive effects over a long-term period of time. So it's not just a fad, it's not a new year, new me kind of situation. It's having those good habits, having that positive effect over a long period of time, which is important. And one book that I read last year, and I read quite a lot of books in 2022, but one book that I read last year was Atomic Habits by James Clear. So if you want to get into and delve more deeper into habits, then absolutely I would recommend that as a read. But for today, we're just skimming the surface on habits, and what I want to do is look at 3 things really. What habits do you want? And I'm talking about you, how to maintain those habits, and then also understand that it won't be easy to create and maintain those habits. So the first thing to do is look at knowing yourself, what habits, what you first of all need to know what it is that you want to change. So what bad habits do you have? What bad habits is it that you want to change? What good habits do you have? Because you will have some good habits already. But looking at what bad habits you have already, looking at the good ones that you have, and then looking at the good habits that you crave, the good habits that you want to have. So this is personal. You cannot look at anybody else in terms of habits. You've got to think about yourself. So think about your habits, think about your goals, think about your expectations. As I've said before, it's all about those small changes. So think about that. What actions do you need to take to achieve those goals? What actions do you need to change every single day? What does that look like every single day? And so they don't need to be big, they don't need to be huge. It's looking at what good habits you crave in order to achieve your goals. So think about those first of all. Is think about what you want to achieve. Think about what habits, what daily habits you're craving in order to achieve the goals. So then once you've sort of thought about that and thought about what habits you want and what habits you crave, it's then looking at making those habits stick, which is not easy, which I'll talk about in point 3. It's not easy making habits stick, absolutely not. But one way to make those habits stick is habit stacking. And as I said before, with Atomic Habits and James Clear's book, it talks a lot about habit stacking, so it will make more sense if you read the book. But habit stacking, so think about the good habits you have and sticking on to that and adding to that a new habit that you crave and adding that onto an existing good one. So for example, and hopefully this will make more sense, in the past I wanted to get into the habit of taking a cold shower every day. So thinking about that, thinking about when I could have thought, I've read about all the benefits of taking cold showers, and it's something that I wanted to do, absolutely. So then, and it's something that I wanted to explore. So then I had a choice. I've got two choices. I either think of a specific time and day every single day that I was going to take a cold shower, and I could do that, or I could stack it onto the back of something that I already normally do, which is having a shower every single morning. So have a shower every single morning, and then could I stack on the back of that, add to the back of that a cold shower? What is more likely to happen? Me choosing to leave the office, leave work, do whatever I'm doing, and then go and take a 2-minute, 5-minute cold shower, or adding it onto the existing habit I already have of taking a shower every single morning. So when is it more likely to happen? Obviously, when I'm already in that situation, it's more likely to happen. So this is what I meant by stacking, and when people talk about one habit or one good habit leads to the next, that is habit stacking. So maintaining the new habit is more likely to happen when it's stacked to an already established good habit. Hopefully that makes sense. And then the last point on this is that new habits are hard to stick. Absolutely. You need to understand this, that your brain likes existing habits because that's the known. And so existing habits, things that you do day in, day out, that is known by your brain, that is known by you. And so there is less friction. So more likely to happen, less friction on your existing habits. Absolutely. But when you are looking to crave new habits, there is less unknown for you. There is less unknown for your brain. So your brain is concerned, you are concerned, and that will give you more friction and more reason not to do it. So existing habits make you feel safe. So you need to be committed and want to be out of your comfort zone when you're looking at having new habits. You absolutely got to be comfortable getting out of your comfort zone, because you will need to have the persistence for the first few days, because you're taking yourself out of comfort zone. But you need to have the persistence as well for the long term, because it's okay having new habits, and it will be fun for the first few days, for the first few weeks of doing something new. You will enjoy it once you've felt you're out of your comfort zone, but that fun can wear off. So you need to have that commitment and drive and persistence to make sure that your new habits stick. So just to recap, really, in terms of the podcast, you need to understand what new habits you want. What are the new habits you're craving? what bad habits you're trying to get rid of, and what good habits you already have in place. You then need to look at how to maintain those the new habits that you crave, which is by one way of doing that is by stacking, which I've talked about. And then you need to ask yourself, are you committed to the changes? Are you committed to the persistence? Are you committed to taking yourself out of the comfort zone? Because that will happen with new habits. So the takeaway for me from the podcast is that there's only you can do something about this. You already have habits. If you already like your habits, and if you're already comfortable and you've got everything you want in life from the habits you've got, then fine. You don't need to change anything. You don't need to create those new habits. However, for most people, there's always something new that they want to crave, and habits will get there. Habits will help you get there. Habits will help you define that. So only you can do something about this. Your habits help define you and who you are and who you want to be as well. So just think about that. What do you want to be in 2023? Don't think about New Year's resolutions and New Year and New Me, because they are less likely to stick. And the point of working on habits is they're more likely to stick than a New Year's resolution. You will know what your habits are and what your new habits are by the end of the year. You will have forgot what your New Year's resolutions are for 2023 by the end of January, like most people. So what you want to be in 2023, what you're going to do differently in 2023, and create your habits around that. And as I said, a book that I read last year, which was a big influence on me about habits, was Atomic Habits by James Clear. So if you want to get deeper into habits, I would totally recommend you reading that book. Look at your habits and change your habits. Totally 100% recommend reading that book. So thank you for listening to the podcast. Thank you for listening and subscribing, and everyone that's done so far. Thank you. This one was the first one of 2023 and the first one of season 3. So as always, any thoughts, feedback or comments you want, please put in the chat in whichever platform you listen to this podcast on or watching this podcast on. And if you're thinking about becoming a self-employed mortgage broker, or looking to set up your own firm, mortgage broker firm or brand and business, or if you're looking to accelerate your mortgage broker business, then please get in touch so I can help and support you achieve your goals for 2023. And like I say, don't forget the most important thing, make sure you run your own race. Thank you for listening to the Mortgage Broker Broadcast, the podcast which helps mortgage brokers at all stages of their mortgage broking career. If you have any questions about this podcast or any topics you want us to discuss, or if you're interested in working with me further, then please get in touch.